I saw some neighbors who seemed like they, during holidays, they would have picnics. And so I found out that they were going to Sunday school. That's how then I started going to Sunday school. Mom didn't like it, so I got in trouble. I'll either get a beating or mom would lock me out of the house. But for some reason, I just kept on going through some, evangelistic rallies. I came to know the Lord personally.
In secondary school, because of the freedom my dad gave me, I attended after school YFC. That's how I heard about the gospel. That was how I came to a point where I wanted to receive Christ. But it was not easy, to become a Christian. I was the first, and I was expected to do the rituals, to pray, put 3 joss sticks in the evenings. So I would be reading the Bible behind, say, a book of math or something.
In the early days of the Navigators, some of the people that Jim Chu influenced, volunteered to help with my church. I was exposed to quiet time and the will and scripture memory. And one of the Sunday school teachers actually said, Sunday school is so short. Would you be interested in, having more time in studying the Bible? I said, sure, So this fellow called Jeffrey began Bible study in my neighborhood, and there were about 4 or 5 of us. And we had to memorize 3 verses a week before we come for Bible study. So after 5 years of working, I handed my resignation and went to Bible college. I told my parents, and my parents were so upset. I was afraid that this would really so turn off my parents off the gospel, Praise the Lord that over the years they went to be with the Lord, knowing, the Lord personally. So
the girl I was helping then, she had gotten some contacts with the Navs through Phyllis. She asked me whether I would like to attend, so one day I attended. I went to one, and one led to another, until the Dawsons came. And that was when I really got closely in touch, one-on-one with Mary. Of course, move on to doing the administrative work for Dave, and then gone on to help a few girls and did the NJC ministry. I lived with Joanne, with Lawrence and Nan Fong and Millie. 4 of us were living in that apartment. Yeah. Then after 2 years, of course, then I graduated and moved on to live with Dave and Mary. By that time, I had left my job. Did I make the right decision? But I don't regret it, although I look back sometimes and said, why would I make a decision like that? I prayed specifically that God would keep my parents' heart open. So amazingly, after many, many years, my parents, one by one, came to know the Lord.
Roy Robertson invited me to be part of his team. And that was also about the time when Dave Dawson came to town. By that time, we already heard about home training, and Kim Talk, myself, and a couple of other people. We actually approached him and said, hey, we want home training.
I guess in my time in Joanne's home was communication. We were held accountable for certain things. We had to learn to live together in harmony. And I guess to be able to juggle work and ministry in the apartment and with all the demands of, responsibilities. Because when I moved in with Dave and Mary, they had a huge home. So we would have Joe Simmons, Lon, Sanny, whoever. And I would have to do the cooking, or most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. You get to interact with all these who's who. So that gave me a confidence to be able to say, I can do that too.
Dave has one message, and that is the Great Commission. So it's hard for missions. I lived more than a year in his home. He had quite a big influence in our lives. And of course, I think even the way we raised the children and our marriage and family, I think a lot of things we either were caught or taught, from the Dawsons. The Navigators were really serious for God. This whole idea of lordship, and they knew how to help people grow spiritually. That's why I was very convinced about what the Navigators were teaching and practicing regarding disciple making. And of course later I picked up equipping, and I thought, okay, this is what I would be doing wherever I go. A lot of missionaries, Christian work, is actually focused on Christians, and very few mission work is focused on non-believers, pre-believers. Yeah, that's what I want to give myself to.
I think one thing that has never changed is that when I believed that God wanted me to do something, I was fixed, regardless of what the cost may be. If I had not come to know the Lord, not had come to be in touch with the Nevs, things would have been very different. I would probably just be striving for more success in the marketplace. It's a growing journey of faith for me. To me, it's worth it all.
The quote from John Eliot seems to come to mind. He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep in exchange for what he cannot lose. If I were to live my life again, I'll probably do the same thing.